Chinese President Hu Jintao wraps up a 5-day warm spring trip to Japan. The Beijing Olympic torch relay finishes its latest leg in Shantou in the southern province of Guangdong. Residents in Sri Lanka's war-ravaged east are voting in local elections for the first time in 20 years. And experts try to assess foreign currency issues at a financial forum in Shanghai. Hi, and welcome to Worldwide Watch. Chinese President Hu Jintao has wrapped up a 5-day state visit to Japan and left Osaka for home. Before ending his warm spring trip, Hu met with Japanese officials in Nara and visited historical sites there. Li Chong has more.
In Nara, Japan's ancient capital, President Hu visited historical sites of Horyu Temple and Toshodai Temple. President Hu said the two temples have witnessed the long history of the China-Japan friendly exchanges and have become important emblems of bilateral cultural exchanges. At the Horyu Temple, Hu Jintao looked at the historical relics during the Sui and Tang dynasties and appreciated the temple's role in promoting Sino-Japanese ties at that time. At the Toshodai Temple, President Hu paid tribute to the statue of Great Master Jianzhen, a prominent Buddhist monk of the Tang dynasty, who set up the bridge for friendly exchanges between the two peoples. Hu Jintao said Jianzhen not only spread knowledge of Buddhism, but also made prominent contributions to Japanese architecture, medicine, and art. Hu Jintao called on people from both countries to carry on and promote the spirit of Jianzhen to push forward China-Japan friendship. Heijo Palace in Nara was Japan's imperial palace during the Nara period and was based largely on Chang'an, the capital of China during the Tang dynasty. Japan has now rebuilt the palace's Suzaku Gate. While visiting the gate, President Hu said the historical sites in Nara reflect the wisdom of Japanese people in ancient times and have witnessed the traditional friendship between the two peoples. He said more than 1,000 years later, many changes had taken place, but that friendship had not changed. Hu Jintao said bilateral ties will certainly improve with the joint efforts from the people of both countries. Li Chong, CCTV.
Well, this was the first state visit by China to Japan in the last 10 years. China and Japan have seen many ups and downs in their relations in the past, but the last couple of years have seen some breakthroughs. As Emma Moore tells us, it's hoped that Hu Jintao's tour will mark a new era for Sino-Japanese ties.
Cherry blossom season welcomes a blooming relationship. On Tuesday, Chinese President Hu Jintao began his warm spring trip to Japan, the first by a Chinese president since 1998. The 5-day tour is Hu Jintao's longest overseas trip to one country, and he had a packed schedule to make the most of his time. President Hu Jintao met with Emperor Akihito. He held talks with Prime Minister Yasuo Fukuda, and he exchanged views with representatives of leading Japanese companies and the country's main political parties. On Wednesday, the two countries signed a joint statement on comprehensive promotion of strategic, mutually beneficial relations. It's their fourth key political document and is meant to serve as a guideline and a blueprint for the future.
I think together with Mr. Fukuda, we are at the starting point of a new chapter of history. We now have a new chance to develop ties more. Both of us need to make an effort and open up a new phase of comprehensive development and develop China and Japan's mutual relationship.
2 years ago, then Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe proposed establishing mutually beneficial strategic relations during his visit to China. The proposal received a warm welcome. It was the first time since diplomatic relations were established 36 years ago that China and Japan agreed to use the word strategic to label their relations. Analysts believe close ties will bring benefits to both countries.
Japan is becoming more and more normal. After 60 years of its experience since the end of the war, with reflection and sense of remorse about what we did in 1930s and 40s to the Asian neighbors, particularly China.
China wants peaceful development, a harmonious society. The goals are hard to achieve without a peaceful and harmonious neighborhood. So for China, mutually beneficial strategic relations with Japan are in its long-term overall interests.
One is a developing country, the other is a developed nation with 40 years of prosperity. It's the first time that the two Asian powers are on the rise together. So what are the prospects for coexistence?
In this age of interdependence, in this age of globalizations, two great states can coexist and can coexist on mutual beneficial basis. That is exactly the theme that was enunciated 2 years ago by Mr. Abe's meeting with Hu Jintao, namely the mutually beneficial strategic relations are the model of Japan-China relations. And so I don't agree that the China and Japan, because China is emerging, is going to be rivals or threat. And I think the more China prosper, Japan prosper too.
Seeking common ground while shelving differences, China and Japan currently face a new opportunity to deepen ties. No matter where politics takes Japan, or what temporary disputes China and Japan may have, strategic mutually beneficial relations are in the interests of the two peoples. Emma Moore, CCTV.
Well, China's top political advisor says that China and Hungary have laid a solid foundation for trade and that prospects are very good for future economic ties. Jia Qinglin was speaking in Budapest. Qi Tianxin has details.
While attending a meeting of Chinese and Hungarian entrepreneurs in Budapest, Jia Qinglin said China's development will provide a broad platform as well as good opportunities for all countries, including Hungary. He said China will continue to stick to its reform and opening up policy, as well as economic strategies that are mutually beneficial. Trade volume between the two countries has risen from less than $1 billion in the 2000 to $6.2 billion by the end of last year. The Bank of China has set up a branch in Hungary, which has also become an increasingly popular destination for Chinese tourists. Jia Qinglin said further upgrading the scale and quality of bilateral economic cooperation is a task for both countries. He made a 3-point proposal in this respect, including developing large-scale cooperative projects so as to increase mutual investment. Jia Qinglin also expressed his wish that companies from both sides will work together to make trade and cooperation even more fruitful. Qi Tianxin, CCTV.
Well, the Olympic torch relay in Guangdong's Shantou city is over after spells of rain there. The city is home to millions of Chinese who now live overseas and is one of China's 5 special economic zones. Liao Liang has more.
It was the Olympic Flames' 4th and last stop in Guangdong province in southern China. Shantou's relay started at 8 a.m. local time. The launch ceremony overcame a morning rainstorm, with former weightlifting world champion Tsai Yanshu taking over the torch from a local official in Dragon Bay District Square. A total of 208 torchbearers took part in the relay. The whole route stretched for 48 kilometers. The relay traversed Pangu Bank, Hengshan Road, Taishan Road, Train Station Square, Golden Bay Bridge, the City Swimming Stadium, Golden Sands Park, Times Square, Yellow Mountain Road, Seaside Road, and the training base of the Chinese diving team. The main feature of this relay was that the flame was carried along the coastline of Shantou Gulf, the only gulf embedded in a city centre in China. The relay lasted about 8 hours. It ended at the celebration site of Municipal People's Square, where the final torchbearer, Shantou Mayor Tsai Zongze, lit the cauldron with 1992 Olympic diving champion Sun Shuwei. Following its tour in Shantou, the Olympic flame will head to Fujian province in eastern China for the next leg of the torch relay. Mark Dreyer, CCTV.
Coming up next on Worldwide Watch, the United Nations launches an appeal to help victims of Cyclone Nargis in Myanmar. And residents in Sri Lanka's war-ravaged east are voting in local elections for the first time in 2 decades. The United Nations is appealing for $187 million to aid victims of Cyclone Nargis, which has devastated Myanmar. China is also asking the international community to continue talks with Myanmar's government to coordinate relief efforts. Liu Yanhua has more.
The UN's special appeal will enable 10 UN organizations and 9 non-governmental aid agencies to support Myanmar's relief and rescue work. The bulk of the funding will be used to provide food, water and sanitation, logistics, health and shelter to more than 1.5 million victims. Myanmar's UN ambassador said his country will accept aid from all quarters.
We are most thankful to the international community, our friends near and far, for their solidarity and generosity. And here I'd like to, go on record and say that we'll accept aid from any quarter. And the United States have offered some assistance to us. And our Deputy Minister had a meeting with the United States Charge in Yangon and said, we will gladly receive these assistance.
To ensure quick delivery of relief materials, China's UN representative said donor countries and agencies should continue dialogue with Myanmar's government to resolve any issues during relief efforts.
We encourage all states to join together to create favorable conditions for the humanitarian relief in Myanmar without politicizing the issue.
In Myanmar, the death toll from Cyclone Nargis has risen to over 23,000. More than 37,000 people are still missing, and almost 1,500 were injured in the storm. Liu Yanhua, CCTV.
Well, against all apparent logic, Myanmar is pushing ahead with its referendum on a draft constitution. That referendum is expected to consolidate the military government's rule over that country. People in 5 townships in the biggest city of Yangon and 19 townships in its southwestern division have cast their votes. Local officials say that people in those areas ravaged by Cyclone Nargis can expect to vote on May 24th. The referendum is part of the military government's 7-step roadmap, which was announced in 2003. The government says the next step will be to hold a multi-party general election in 2010 to elect paramilitary representatives to hand over power to a democratically elected government. Residents in Sri Lanka's war-ravaged east are voting in local elections for the first time in 20 years. Voting began today amid security concerns in the Sri Lankan eastern districts of Tremakamali and Ampara, as well as Batticaloa. One day after a blast in the region left at least 11 people dead and dozens more injured. Nearly 1 million people are eligible to vote for 1,342 candidates to fill 35 seats. The ruling alliance of President Mahinda Rajapaksa have teamed up with defected rebels. Rajapaksa says that the poll is crucial to restore democracy to the area and allow development after 25 years of war. The region was held by the Tamil Tiger rebels until recently. Serbia is making final preparations for early parliamentary elections. Sunday's election is a competition between the nationalist and pro-Western parties over what course Serbia should take in the future. Liu Yanhua has more.
Polls released ahead of Sunday's vote show the Nationalist Radical Party with 34% support, just 1 point ahead of a pro-Western coalition led by President Boris Tadic. Prime Minister Vojislav Koštunic's populist bloc is third with 12%. Koštunica forced the early parliamentary elections after a split with pro-Western President Tadic. They both opposed Kosovo's independence declaration, but differ over their policies toward the European Union. Tadic's bloc is seeking to continue with efforts to integrate with the European Union, while the nationalists want closer ties with Russia. This issue has gained momentum since the unilateral declaration of independence by Serbia's Kosovo province in February, a move supported by the US and some European countries, but opposed by Russia and Serbia. Sunday's election may be extended to Kosovo on the basis of dual citizenship. On Friday, thousands of Kosovo Albanians staged a demonstration in Pristina, protesting against Serbia holding elections there. Liu Yanhua, CCTV.
A U.S. diplomat has left the DPRK with documents detailing activities at a nuclear reactor there. Washington will scrutinize the technical logs from the Yongbyon reactor to see if the DPRK is telling the truth about its nuclear intentions. DPRK has agreed to trade the program away for economic and political rewards. The U.S. State Department's top Korea specialist returned to South Korea after collecting about 18,000 secret papers during a 3-day visit to Pyongyang. The DPRK's handover of the sensitive records came after last year's disarmament for aid deal had stalled due to Pyongyang's failure to fully disclose its nuclear programs. Canadian health officials say there was no infectious disease outbreak on a passenger train that was quarantined in northern Ontario. A woman aboard the train died and several other people had reported feeling ill. Ontario officials said that the elderly woman who died did not have an infectious disease and that other illnesses reported were not related. The train was traveling from Vancouver to Toronto when emergency officials were alerted. 264 passengers and 30 crew members were told to stay on the train while officials investigated. Still ahead on CCTV News, the head of the central bank stresses that China's monetary policies must make inflation the #1 priority. And a Shanghai Financial Forum debates the risks of holding large amounts of foreign currency.
CCTV9, China's only English-language news channel, broadcasts throughout China and across the globe. CTV Golden Bridge is CCTV International's exclusive advertising agent and can put your company in touch with an audience of millions.
Sichuan, land of abundance, home of the panda.
Charming Tangshan, a shining pearl by the Bohai Sea.
Thousand Island Lake, the ideal place to relax. Hangzhou.
intimate rendezvous with nature. Futushan, China.
Forever tropical paradise, Sanya.
In love's truest moments, the Chinese collar is my only choice. True love for real men. The 7-brand Chinese collar True Love series.
CCTV-9, China's only English-language news channel, broadcasts throughout China and across the globe. CTV Golden Bridge is CCTV International's exclusive advertising agent and can put your company in touch with an audience of millions.
China's monetary authorities are trying to figure out what to do about some conflicting policies, but they're stressing that fighting inflation remains a #1 priority. The head of the central bank was speaking at the Lujiazui Forum in Shanghai. Zhou Xiaochuan said that while other countries, such as the United States, are more focused on fending off a recession, China's monetary policies must put inflation over concerns about growth and employment. The Consumer Price Index for April will be released next Monday following a just-released Producer Price Index that has hit a 3-year high of 8.1%. That suggests a sustained buildup in pressures on consumer price inflation. Zhou Xiaochuan also listed other items on China's list of policy concerns, including the development of financial institutions and imbalances in global money transfers. Well, speaking of that, experts at a financial forum in Shanghai are debating the risks of holding large amounts of foreign currency. They're also trying to find the best way to face down volatility in exchange rates. From Shanghai, here's Sun Yan.
In a group discussion, experts said the dollar's weakness and financial volatility jointly threaten to erode the value of foreign exchange reserves. Yet, they said, it's unwise to cut dollar positions in a rush, as that may translate into a global economic recession. Under such circumstances, China's sovereign wealth fund, namely China Investment Corp, said it values long-term interests more than quick profits.
Our investments, whether in private equities or properties, have been fine so far. We are a long-term investor and won't be deterred by short-term swings on the financial market.
China set up the Sovereign Wealth Fund in September last year, giving it $200 billion as starting money. In its most recent move, the country agreed to set up an $80 billion fund pool with Japan, South Korea and 10 ASEAN members. The scheme is designed to avert a repeat of the 1997 regional financial crisis. China's foreign exchange reserves topped $1.68 trillion at the end of March, the largest such reserve in the world. More than 70% of the money is generally believed to be parked in dollar-based assets, such as U.S. Treasury bonds. With the dollar stuck in a long-term downtrend, however, China is facing mounting pressure to ward off currency risks and achieve higher investment returns from the reserve. Sun Yan, ICS News.
Well, the mysteries of the universe may soon be answered, thanks to an underground physics laboratory in Switzerland. CERN, as it's called, is a huge laboratory run by thousands of scientists from more than 80 countries. Now, after years of preparation, the researchers are about to start their most important experiment yet. Li Chong has more.
Deep beneath the Swiss Alps, a team of international scientists is working to unravel the secrets of the universe. This 17-mile underground laboratory, worth around $6 billion, may help to answer some of the oldest questions known to man. The Large Particle Collider is expected to be switched on later this summer. It's the world's biggest laboratory. The plan is to accelerate tiny subatomic particles called electrons and positrons almost to the speed of light and then annihilate them by smashing them into one another. Scientists say that such collisions replicate the conditions found just after the Big Bang, and thus will help increase our knowledge of how the universe was formed and what its components are.
By going back that far in time, by recreating, we're kind of, if you like, we're exploring the physics, the way the universe unfolded in those first few instances of time.
Since the project began, more than 35,000 tons of material has been safely lowered underground. What will actually happen when the particles collide is anyone's guess. Some have even speculated that it may kickstart a series of catastrophic events. All the data collected will be processed through thousands of computers based in the underground facility. The Geneva Collider will recreate the rapidly changing conditions in the universe a split second after the Big Bang. It will be the closest that scientists have come to the event that they theorized was the beginning of the universe. Li Cheng, CCTV.
Here now is Rosemary with the latest weather report for China and a few other parts of the world.
Thank you. Well, the heavy rains we've been seeing in southern China recently had a final surge yesterday. Haikou had 83 millimeters of rainfall, their heaviest rain so far this year. And in Guilin, they've had rain every single day since April 29th. But tomorrow, southern China should see rain ease off with just a bit of wet weather in Tibet, Yunnan, and Hainan. Moderate rainfall is expected in southern Yunnan and central and southern Hainan. Up north, it's going to rain tomorrow in Inner Mongolia, Shanxi, Hebei, Shandong, Liaoning, Beijing, and Tianjin. Moderate rainfall is expected in southern Hebei, Tianjin, and northern Shandong. However, this large area from northwest China right through to the southeast we'll see sunny skies and rising temperatures. Highs in the south will gradually climb to 30 degrees or even a bit higher in some places. And by Wednesday, we should see plus 30 degrees in even more areas. So much more warm weather is on the way. On Monday, rain will clear up in western Tibet and northern Hainan, but moderate rainfall is still expected for southern Yunnan. And up north, just a bit of rain in eastern Jilin, Liaoning, southern Hebei, as well as eastern Shandong. Now, due to this low pressure system that we're seeing, though, we are going to see rain in Beijing, Tianjin, and Shandong over the next 2 days. Finally, the Olympic torch will stop in Fuzhou tomorrow, where they should see clear to partly cloudy skies with highs of around 26 degrees. World City Forecast is next.
That's going to do it for Worldwide Watch for now. Thanks for joining us. Bye for now.